The same things that you truly love and appreciate can kill you. Loving something too deeply and passionate is already a creation that you are living in. Getting too deeply rooted into this area can sustain and, of course, bring sadness, illness after a while. Learning how to detach from things is key interest. Because if you do not learn how to detach from a person, a place, or a thing, these things can destroy you. These things can break you or can make you. In the beginning, it's going to make you. In the end, it can break you. Because not knowing how to detach from an alternative desire or passion can put you into a situation of not seeing the other side of the world, not seeing the other side as green. You think just because it's green on this side, that it won't be green on the other side. And that's false. Always remember, in this world, you creating life every day. So the life and the substances that you are creating are following you. So if you always have that doubt presence or that self-doubt interest, you put yourself into a situation of catering to that in your next life. And you put yourself into a situation of creating that in your next life. Life is always moving. Life waits for nobody. And of course, life ain't waiting for you. So you have to be on board. You got to be ready to build and create your own life. Because life can be given to you and taken away. But you created life. You are life. And of course, the moment you forget that is the moment you giving your power to a source that has conducted you or swallowed you, aka tore you up, consumes you, and of course, predator you. Because these things you pray for, which could be material or desire, these things you have a key to have the access and the doors to open these things and see these things on a higher perspective and realize that these things that you truly are chasing or desiring for, these things don't really mean shit. It's way more to life than what you basically think of how it's presented to you. And if you're not willing to take the steps to get rid of the old dirty seeds that's in your brain, that was planted in your brain, then you're going to basically put yourself into a situation of being stagnated, not willing to basically go above the mysteries or the travels or the way and beyond. Because every day you're going through a change. Every day you're going through an experience. And every day you have to be ready to be 360 fulfilled in what you're trying to bring into this existence. And if you're not playing into the characteristic traits of how you're supposed to present and perfect your life, then of course you're going to be in the wrong element, the wrong arena, the wrong WrestleMania. And of course, when we in WrestleMania 30, your ass still stuck in WrestleMania 20, which means that rules, things change. And of course, if you're not willing to go through change or thinking that it's going to be a sunny day on this side all the time, then goddamn, you got another thing coming. Because of course, the sun don't sit into one spot for too goddamn long. The sun is always shining, but the sun can be covered up too. Good days can be covered up, and bad days can become good days. So you got to understand and understand. It's like every time the cup is draining all the salt, bringing it down, it's going to be switched all over again. And of course, energy can never be destroyed, but it can only be reciprocated, and of course, reciprocated into another astral field. So of course, if this astral field is being fulfilled, that means life is being created on a totality. And of course, this is a unmistakable process. And of course, it's always a process of elimination in life. So you got to be willing to basically eliminate and let things go. Because after that, once you let something go, you're open to basically take on new perspectives and not get too deeply rooted into the perspective that you're basically wanting to basically trap yourself in. And of course, when you get too trapped into something, you create a ghost. And that ghost will follow you. And of course, that ghost can be a child. That ghost can be a desire. That ghost can be something that you truly desire. But of course, you didn't want to let that go. So that follows you. And of course, that can taint on your soul. And of course, repress you in certain areas. And of course, when you get repressed in certain areas for too goddamn long, these things can pretty much wear and tear on your soul. And of course, once your soul starts to become wear and tear, And of course, you got to put yourself into a situation or a pursuit where you can basically rebuild the right characteristics and the right mechanisms to help cater towards how you truly feel on the inside. Because of course, if you're feeling internally fucked up, then imagine how you're gonna basically feel, or basically how that's gonna be attracted right back into your life. You're gonna be basically picking up the dust, picking up the grain. Of course, you're gonna put yourself into a situation of the people under the stairs, where you didn't burn down the house. You just trapped all that emotion, trapped all that dirt, and trapped all them issues to the point that these things start to cry and gild, and almost to the point that somebody's gonna discover that shit one day. Somebody's gonna see what's going on underneath the rug. Somebody's gonna realize the rug may be looking good on the surface, but when you lift up the rug, you're gonna see all the dirt, see all the skeleton, all the bones that you've been hiding and shit. And of course, you don't want nobody to see this shit, because you want to keep these things hidden in secret, and you want to hold on to these things. There's nothing to hold on to. You have to learn how to let these things go, and of course, so you can move on and feel free. The moment you put yourself into a situation of holding on to these things start to become a development, a routine, a work, a job ethic that you are leaving unnoticed or uncared for. And of course, when you're not caring for something or caring to get rid of something, these things can destroy you and hurt you and harm you. And of course, when you get harmed and hurt and destroyed, you don't have or see another way out. So this puts you into situations of thinking that you want to commit suicide, killing yourself, or leaving this world too soon, right before your own eyes. And of course, there's always a challenge for you to basically see how tough you can basically weather the storm. And if you're not willing to weather that storm or go through that storm and have a smile despite how things is playing out on the outside perspective, then you're just showing yourself that you're not willing to make that next effort, that next big stage, that next big change. And if you're not ready to go to change, and life won't change for you, life will remain consistent, life would just be even more depressing for you. And of course, once you get deeply pressed into a situation, that means you can't, whoever pushes your buttons is like, you're goddamn done with it. Feel me? You're goddamn over it. You goddamn lost yourself. You goddamn stressed. You goddamn seduced. You goddamn tooken. And of course, if you don't feel, you ain't got no soul. You ain't got no waters. These things are tinted. These things are depleted. You don't have nothing to feel on anymore. You're dry. You're sucked. Whatever was basically seducing and harnessing you has took everything out of you. You're lost. For me, you ain't got nothing inside of you. You're gone. You're naked and tired when it comes to the way you feel about things. These things are arthritism. Your feelings is arthritis at the moment. Your feelings is constructed and constrained. These things is not moving. These things have been strained by the strainer. You know what I mean? You're not supposed to have a strainer there. You're supposed to let your waters come through freely, openly, without basically being harnessed. But of course, you have put yourself into a position of allowing the strainer to strain and take all your waters. So when we come through and we don't see water, then of course you're dry. Succubus. What you have been desiring, succubus you. You have been through an Adam and Eve situation where your mind and your feelings have went the other way. These things is not connected no more. These things are in a different area. And of course, this is how you living in reverse, living backwards. And of course, when you're living backwards, life becomes more harder. Life becomes more terrifying. Life becomes more detriment. And of course, you never want to put yourself into a detriment perspective, because when you're detriment, your mind becomes detriment. Your mentality becomes detriment. Your mind becomes chaotic and shit. And of course, you don't want to see this perspective, because what you're creating now is more chaotic situations, more chaotic abundances. And of course, you don't want to live this life or experience that, because that's called hell. That's called burning on the inside and being dry on the outside. Dry faces, dry mentalities, dry everything, ashy. You don't want to be seen in that area. You're not smiling. Nothing that's not going on. You need to get your spirit back. You need to get your soul back. Get your spirit in this area, soul in that area. Body is head, but nothing. These two is not coming together. It's slowly but surely separating day by day. And you don't want to keep separating yourself. Feel me? Separation is the truest enemy. You need to be connected with yourself. Never separate from yourself. Never separate from who you are. Never separate from who you truly want to be in this life. Feel me? Because being is just basically being you. You ain't got to put yourself into a situation of trying to be something that you was given a title to be. You ain't this goddamn name. You ain't the flesh. You've been in many perspectives. You've been in many forms. And as long as you know who you truly are, and as long as you cater towards that energy and put yourself into a persona or a perspective where you basically need to direct and aim high, where you need to basically get towards to, you'll be able to actually not miss stops, not miss buses, or not miss trains. You won't basically be delayed in life. You'll be on a front row ticket seat, where you can just cater, where you can have a chauffeur that take care of you, drive you places, take you places, nurture you, and of course, put you into a perspective of a person. You never want to put yourself into a situation of having to strive too goddamn hard in life, almost to the point that your whole body break down. You ain't come here to do that. Came here to put your mind state on a right aim. So this way, when you're focusing on what you're trying to chase, you can have the right practical perspective and the right cause and the right body to make sure that you're doing these things and your body ain't break down, or your body ain't go through a chaotic situation, almost to the point that you've overworked and overlimped yourself. Now you're limping. Now you went into a situation where you're not feeling comfortable about anything at all. Your mind is just gone. Your body is just going. Your feelings gone. Feel me? This is a skeleton. You do not want to put yourself into a skeleton mode. These things become rusty. These things don't move. These things become dirty. These things get too strong, too thick, too stiff, and of course, too stiff. Nothing is moving. No flow, no movement, anything. So you never want to put yourself into that situation, because nothing is going to come out of that, but it's going to be bad. Of course, you don't want to be in that perspective for too goddamn long. So it's always a day to change. And of course, it's always a day to get situated with yourself. But not stuck into a situation, but getting yourself out of an unsituation that you do not want to basically be sitting in or reflecting in. Feel me? Gotta learn how to basically turn the pool on sometimes. You gotta get into your emotions sometimes. Pay attention to your intuition sometimes. And most importantly, your instinct natures. Because your instincts inside of you is always talking to you, always getting at you. And of course, if you feel it deeply into your heart, deeply rooted into that area, that you do not feel comfortable with a situation that you're actually acting out, then you should pay attention to that. Feel me? Because your insides is what's controlling your outsides. Not your outsides controlling your insides. Feel me? Don't work like that. Everything is always inside. Everything you're looking for, everything you want, everything you need, is inside of you. So of course, you got to pick and choose. What are you bringing out into this world? What are you putting on the front first? What are you putting on the focus? What are you putting on the dashboard? Because it's one thing to be the driver, but worrying about the shit that's on the passenger side or in the back seats or in the trunk ain't really a catering situation. That's just a comfort zone. And what puts you into a comfort zone is getting too comfortable with a situation, almost to the point that you're going to want your brand new car. You're going to want your new ways of doing things. You're going to want to basically be catering towards being in the backseat or being on the truck all the goddamn long or the goddamn time. No. So you got to pick and choose. Which practical steps are you basically catering towards to? Which practical needs are you basically aiming towards to? And of course, you got to always be ready for the future. Feel me? That's what you need to be preparing for, the future, not the past. The past is the present. You never want to get yourself into the past or the present. Of course, that can be very strong and very powerful in that predicament. But you never want to basically get lost into that perspective. You got to learn how to aim high. Aim for the future. Pay attention to the future. And of course, the future got a purpose. The future got a cause. The present, you can't go back to yesterday and change what you did that day before yesterday. You can't go back to the day of yesterday and try to save that situation from yesterday. That happened already. What you gonna do today? What you gonna do in the next second? What you gonna do in the next minute, the next hour, the next eons from here on out? And of course, life is constantly moving. Feel me? What goes around comes around. So of course, you gotta be ready to go on the merry-go-round. Or create your own merry-go-round. Create your own perspective. This way, you're not into a situation of basically being into a roller coaster where things is rolling into other coasters or other areas and shit like that. You want to make sure that you're rolling into the coastal flow that you want to perceive and not into somebody else's coastal endeavors, almost to the point that shit break down. Now, of course, it's a lawsuit. Now, of course, you would always be put into a predicament of being uncomfortable with the situation you was in because you got onto the wrong ride. You got onto the wrong roller coaster. And life is a ride. It's always ups and downs. But of course, if you stay up for too long, you're going to come down. If you stay down for too long, your ass going to come up. So it's always a 50-50 grail. And of course, when you got that holy grail, you will know what cup to drink from and when not to drink from that cup. And of course, you got that 50-50 perspective. So this way, everything is a balance from a totality. And that's it.